can hear me. I need to get a better microphone because I'm doing a lot more of these on the phone. Anyway, I just really quickly, hopefully I won't be interrupted. But I'm sitting here at work. There's a couple of things that I wanted to point out to pay attention to is the under the desk news report on how they could be taking your guns, how that could unfold, as well as the Caroline Leavitt press secretary control of who is going to be reporting on the White House. These two issues came up into my feed this morning, and I just want to briefly talk about them both. So the first one about the gun control, gun confiscation issue. So currently, we have mandatory reporting, and clinicians and others may be required by law in various states. This may vary a bit, but generally you have mandatory reporting. So if there's a person who is under mental distress, depression, suicidality, that kind of thing, they are required by law to have the individual involuntarily committed for up to a 72-hour time period. Okay, this is the law. Clinicians can lose their license, and there's a reasonableness and an understanding of why this issue is important to be aware of. Check your state, make sure that you understand what the actual law is. Now, what has changed is in 2018, there's a video of Donald Trump and Pamela Bondi, who is now our current Attorney General. And Pam Bondi was talking, and this is on tape. You can go on YouTube. It has been recorded, that she is, and this is after, I guess, another significant shooting that occurred. I can't remember which one. There's been so many in Florida, and this is in 2018. And so she was suggesting, as the Attorney General of Florida, that the law could be changed to where, so if a person is, so you have civil commitment and probate court for people who have more complicated, difficult mental health things, and they can't basically function in normal society, and these people can be, by a court, ruled to be unable to take care of themselves. And it's probate court. There's a whole process for it. And in that process, it has currently been, I believe, I'd have to look at it more closely, where a person's, if they have any guns or weapons in the home, that those could be confiscated. Now, granted, if they're in probate court, they're going to probably be at a long-term facility, and so they wouldn't have access to those weapons anyway. But this is part of the process. What has changed, or what is being suggested, or what is possibly currently being worked on, is the fact that if a person is deemed, like, say, a person goes into their doctor and says, I'm really suicidal, I want to unalive myself, okay? That doctor, that clinician is required by law to put them into a 72-hour hold. Or, conversely, the person is in the home, there is a 911 call, or there is a domestic situation, or there's a wellness check, whatever, the police come, and this person is freaking out, having a meltdown, whatever, is put into a 72-hour hold, either in prison or in whatever psych emergency services in that area. And at the time, this is what is kind of changing and shifting, that the police can go in, confiscate any weapons that are on the premises, and then they have 72 hours to go to a judge to determine whether or not these weapons should ever be returned to the patient. Okay. Now, this is troubling because it's like, under a long term, if the person is having hi, I'm having a bad time, blah, 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 blah. But generally speaking, they are mentally stable. They're just having a crisis or whatever. And so it's troubling because there's a responsibility, or there's a power that the police have to make the case to a judge that this individual's guns should in fact be permanently removed from the home, not temporarily. It's not like, okay, this person is in the 72-hour hold and they come back and then they can get their weapons or guns back, right? No, these would be permanently removed from the home. Now, I'm not saying there's any law in the book currently. I'm just saying that Pam Bondi, who is now the Attorney General of the United States and who was the former Attorney General of Florida, has on tape suggested that this is what the changes could be. Okay, just situationally aware, information, be aware of it, understand what this could mean. Go out, find out what your rules are, understand how this could play out. Now, why this is significant is because in the United States, we have the Second Amendment. And it's always been thought, oh, people are not going to give up their guns out of their cold, dead hands, right? That's what they always say. The left, however, because we have all these shootings, the left is like, oh, we need stricter gun control laws, etc. Now, I am a liberal. I support the Second Amendment within reason. But I see how this change, this subtle change in the civil commitment and gun confiscation laws or whatever could affect our freedom. Now, there's two, maybe more points that I'd like to make on this. So people go, don't worry about it, because this is what you might say. Don't worry about it. We've got the Second Amendment. We've got a constitutional right. Okay. This, though, is regarding mental health. Okay. This is pertaining to someone or someone's declaring, and there's precedent for this in history, that someone could come in saying this person is incompetent, we need to put them in a 72-hour hold, we need to incarcerate them, whatever it is, okay, for the safety of the community. And what is going to happen is that this is a reasonable suggestion to present to the left to say, look, see, we are making our community safer. Okay. And they'll go, okay, that's fine. That's good. That's a good start. These people shouldn't be out there. They shouldn't have guns, whatever. Okay. On the right, how they may buy into these changes is that, well, that'll never happen to me. I'm not gonna be the one that's gonna ever be civilly committed or put into a 72-hour hold. That's never gonna happen to me. So I don't really care. Like, that's a reasonable thing. Yeah, we just want to get the crazies away from the guns. That's not going to ever happen to me. And so that's how they're going to do a workaround. And why it is significant, and there is a precedent for it. If you look through history, Hitler, Orban of Hungary, etc., if you look at different dictators and authoritarians, how this has happened, as well as in the United States, how people could be involuntarily committed at the drop of a hat. So you've got to pay attention to the mental health diagnoses and how the laws change with regards to, oh, that person is unstable. Okay. And we're setting up this precedent. We've had precedent in the United States where people have just been thrown in a mental hospital or thrown in a prison and forgotten about, right? And so, all under the guise of they are a danger to community or themselves. Okay. So pay attention to that issue. The second issue I wanted to talk about is with regards to the press secretary. Caroline Leavitt is the current press secretary. And apparently they have a lot of control about who is coming in to sit in press briefings, who's going to be allowed to be on Air Force One, etc., who's going to follow Trump and follow the news, right? So we already know that Donald Trump has had adversarial relationships with the press overall. And recently he had an adversarial situation crop up with AP, which is a very unbiased, it's very neutral. A lot of news agencies use AP press wires to report on things, etc. So they're kind of a neutral press organization, right? And so Trump is basically, because they refused to write Gulf of America or report it as Gulf of America, Donald Trump is suing them, and it's this back and forth stuff. But anyway, my point is that look to see, again, this is another under the desk news reporting thing about how Caroline Leavitt's policies could basically restrict certain news organizations that are deemed adversarial or whatever to President Trump from actually sitting in on press brief. So they won't have access to the president. Okay. Now, some of the suggestions that were rolled out was that other Congress people, et cetera, could go out and have their own press briefings, right? Like they could report and give him, hey, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. So it's just something to be aware of. We all know that Trump has had a very adversarial relationship with the press and, doesn't want anything. And of course, now he's got this good little, order following Project 2025 shill running everything. And she's going to do it the way she's going to do it. So we got to figure out a workaround, be aware of what that could happen and what that could mean for us getting accurate reporting from the White House. So anyway, those are the two things I wanted to talk about today. I hope everyone is having a decent day. I want to comment more about, issues such as situational awareness, being aware, doing our self-care, etc., and not letting people gaslight you and blow you off as just, oh, well, this is fine, we've got the Second Amendment and this would never happen, blah, blah, blah. We are in unprecedented times, folks. I am 56. I'm going to be 57 this year, and I have never seen this in the time that I've been alive. Okay, the closest you probably could see was maybe the Red Scare, blacklisting stuff of the 1950s. I think that people need to be really, really careful. There's a lot of trolling out there right now. There's a lot of AI trolling. There's a lot of paid things to get out your messages. But there's also a lot of very ignorant people out there, okay? A lot of ignorant people who do not understand or have the capacity to understand deeper, nuanced understanding of what is going on right now. And they may be in cognitive dissonance. They may not be really fully understanding stuff. They may just be a jackass messing with you, whatever. And they're not really thinking this thing through. They're thinking, oh, we're fine. You're just, freaking out, you libtard or whatever. It's ridiculous. So anyway, just be aware of this. And if you yourself are a troll, go to hell. Anyway, have a nice day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.